Guys, we are back with another episode of Unboxed, and today I am honestly so excited to be joined by a fellow Larnonian. I don't even know if that's what we're called, but absolute trailblazer in their sport, unbelievable human being, and just an advocate for what they do. Today we are joined by the one and only Claire Taggart. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I am, as we've just discussed beforehand, sweating.
Yeah, it's so strange to be so warm here. It's not the most pleasant, is what I would say, but I'm surviving.
Surviving. You know what? That's all. I think most of us, anyone who is from Ireland at this point, where it's like anything above 22, we're just surviving.
Yeah.
And then we'll complain next week when it goes back to the downpour.
I mean, it's due to rain tomorrow, and part of me is quite happy, but also quite sad.
There's no pleasing us. There's honestly no pleasing us.
No.
So, for those that don't know Claire, as I said, was an absolute trailblazer for Boccia. She was the first Northern Irish athlete to represent Team GB at a few Paralympics now. Isn't that right, Claire?
Yeah, 3.
Just the casual.
Yeah, I mean, it seems so long ago, but yeah, 3. So Rio, Tokyo, and Paris.
Oh, as you do. What was your favourite?
To be honest with you, probably Rio, because I came into the squad before that, like maybe 18 months before we went. And like there was zero expectation, zero pressure on me. I only played in the team event because I was basically making up the part of the female quota as there was in those days. It's much more equitable now for women, but at the time I was like basically making up the numbers. But yeah, no, like I really enjoyed it, even though whenever I think back to it, I think I played maybe 4 balls, but I was out there for like 3 weeks. I think Rio because it was just a laugh, and then obviously COVID and Tokyo was a different experience, and then Paris was what Paris was. I'm sure we'll go on to it a little bit later.
You're definitely right. We'll get on to that in a bit, because before we get into the juice and the exciting part of things, we will kick it off with the quickfire of the Unboxed 11. And so for those that don't know what it is, it's kind of a quick-ish fire, honestly, whatever type of fire you want. But we have to just put in that Claire told me beforehand that she is prepared for this, and I am absolutely here for it. So, folks, this could be the quickest Unboxed 11 there has ever been, but no pressure, Claire. You can change your answer at any moment. Again, we're starting it off with the easy one. Favorite time of day?
I'm not particularly a morning or an evening person. I think my favorite time of the day is 11 o'clock every day, and it's a strange one, but that is the time that I walk my dog. And yeah, my dog Rio, she has more friends than I do, and she meets up with them every day. So it's basically the life of like, it's the dream life for a dog, basically.
Love that. Shout out Rio the dog. We'll probably hear her, well, I'm hoping we will hear her at some point tiptoeing in the background, or even a few woos while we're at it. We'll go on to the next one. What is the best compliment you've ever received?
This is the only one that I don't have an answer for. So I hate compliments. I think as a Northern Irish people, we are not very good at accepting or giving compliments. So it's something that I've always really struggled with. If anybody's ever told me, oh, you're really good at this, and then it's almost like in my head, like in one ear and straight out the other. The one thing that I like, if someone told me that I've got really good music taste, I'd be happy with that. But yeah, compliments about sport and stuff like that, I will always really kind of struggled with, and I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, definitely feel the same. It's just, I think you're right. It is such like a Northern Irish thing to do, where you're like, someone could literally turn around and be like, oh my gosh, your outfit is so class. And you'd literally be like, oh nah, this little thing just pulled out of the closet. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like we're the worst at it. Like, horrific, but it's so standard. But I'm going to assume your music taste is a bit good. So,
Well, people in Sinai and the gym hate whenever like I have the choice of the music, because it's usually sad, melancholy, depressing music. But I like it, and that is kind of my vibe. So yeah.
okay, well, speaking of music, moving swiftly on to our next question. One song that means something to you.
So I actually have a tattoo of this song, and It is a song called Everything I Wanted, and it's by Billie Eilish. It's not on an album or anything like that. It was just kind of released as and when she released it. And the reason I really like it is that it's about the relationship between her and her brother. It's the idea that regardless of what's going on in her life, her brother's always going to be there. Now, I don't have any siblings. I just have a dog, and I feel the same way about my parents. Whatever's going on in my life, as long as they're here, I'll be fine, and whatever's going on will be fine.
I love that. Shout out your parents, and we will get onto them later because, again, your ma, I remember her from days when I was running about Lauren. Next one, what makes you smile the most?
Again, as someone who didn't smile very much in life until very recently, the only thing that really makes me, like, I'm super invested in is, like, live music. I have to be at concerts. If there's nothing in my calendar concert-wise, I will search the UK to find something to go and see. Yeah, so live music makes me really happy. And also Rio, who is drinking. I'm not pissing on this video. Yeah, no.
We have no video evidence, folks, so we don't know what's going on off screen. So Claire could be having a wee, or it could be Rio. Make up your own mind on that one. Okay, swiftly moving on. 3 things you can't live without.
Rio, obviously. My wheelchair, because without it I am stranded. And the third thing was books. I read, like, constantly.
What book are you reading at the minute? Big question.
I'm reading Dirty Little Secrets by Joe Spain. It's just been on my TBR, as they say. So,
what's inspiring you in life right now?
I'm assuming most people say, like, their sport, or, like, I listened to, I think it was Rachel Furness's one, and she was like, the younger generation. What is inspiring me right now is the possibilities that accessibility has in live music. I think that we're only really starting to scratch the surface with that stuff. And again, like, you will know, being from Northern Ireland, like, we are at least 5 to 10 years behind the mainland UK in everything. So, like, some of the festivals I've been to in the UK have been 10 times better for accessibility than over here. And yeah, I just think the possibilities are pretty much endless with that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Yeah. Lads, that is his podcast here, there, and done. Claire, you have crushed it. No, I'm only joking. But I couldn't agree more that Northern Ireland is so far behind with everything, and with accessibility for every type. Literally anything. If you, like, if you function as a full human individual with nothing wrong, and, like, I don't mean that in any bad way, you will be fine. You will survive. Outside of that, yeah, Jesus, we're not helping ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't even know where you start with Northern Ireland, but yeah, I'm super excited about the possibilities of accessibility, and I will talk a little bit about that more later.
Yeah, we will definitely delve into that later. Okay, if you weren't a boccia player or professional athlete, what would you be?
I remember whenever I was asked this question when I was a lot younger, and I would have said that I was going to be like a snake catcher or something, because I liked reptiles. I think if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, having done boccia for 11 years, I'd probably have done something further with animals.
Oh, fantastic. Love that. Okay, what's the biggest misconception about you?
I have 2. I have quite a strong resting bitch face, and have always had quite a strong resting bitch face. But I'd say the biggest misconception, and it doesn't just apply to me, is around disability, that I can or can't do things. I can't drive, I can't live independently. I do both of those things. And I think that comes from the society of the world being seen to almost label people by either their diagnosis or how they look, or if they have an invisible disability. Whereas, yes, there are barriers that presents me. The biggest barriers to me doing anything in life are made by human decision. And what I mean by that is that the world is not accessible, and to make it more accessible, they just need to involve more disabled people. Like, for example, I live in a house, a bungalow, perfectly wheelchair accessible inside, surrounded by 4 sets of steps. Yes, precisely. There's
What?
one way of getting out that I can get in and out. There's a ramp. But if there was a fire, I can get onto a little platform at the front of my house, but I cannot escape. Yeah, so again, just, I guess, common sense
Or
needs
lack
to
of.
prevail a little bit more. And yeah, these things wouldn't really happen, or the barriers wouldn't exist if more disabled people were involved in planning and decision making.
I'm just like, okay, we need to get through these because the simplicity of people, I'm just like mind
Yeah.
blown because of how naive and anywho, swiftly moving on before I have a hairy. Number 9, who do you look up to and why?
So I look up to everyone because obviously I sit down and literally like have to look up. Sorry, I threw you under the bus but with that.
I am here for the twistiness.
Again, I didn't really have an answer for this one. I've been asked the question around like role models and stuff in the past, and I struggle to identify with that kind of like role model-y thing, because it's almost like someone has to be, for it to be a role model, they have to be almost in essence perfect, like in everything they do. And I think that that's not always possible. I think that everybody is fallible, and there's the potential that they do something that isn't right. So yeah, I don't think I have anyone that I specifically idolize or think I want to do stuff like that particularly. But yeah, the real answer is that I look up to everyone, Aisha. I'm sorry.
No, there's no sorry needed. I think that's a very honest answer that a lot of people maybe they miss that side of things, and I think you put it really well in that, like, you as a role model you maybe need to be perfect and have this like aura about you and do
Yeah.
nothing wrong, but I'm like, we are all humans, we're not robots. Okay, number 10, we've 2 to go. One experience that significantly shaped who you are today.
Okay. I think there's many, and I think the easier one to be talking about would be like when I got my diagnosis and stuff like that. And obviously, you knew me when I was on my feet, but you also knew me when I was sitting down. And I think that would probably be the one that people would expect me to talk about. But I'm actually going to say that meeting my teammates and the people in my sport has been the thing that's most significantly impacted in my life. So whenever I got diagnosed with dystonia at 19, they don't hand you a leaflet and say, okay, these are the things you're entitled to, these are the things that will help you become more independent. And I guess boccia came into my life when I was 19, and when I joined the world class program in the sport, I was very not independent. Like, I could not get out of bed independently. I could not use the loo or anything like that, like independently. And I didn't learn that from medical professionals. I learned that from my teammate, in particular one teammate, Evie, who spent at least 2 or 3 hours with me teaching me how to pull my own trousers up. But I can do a lot more than I could ever have thought of when I first joined the sport, and that is probably the best thing that I'm taking away from the sport and the experience itself. If I didn't have my teammates and their lived experience of disability and complex disability, I don't know where I'd kind of be in life. And that's the scary part. And that's not inspiration porn, by the way. That is not inspiration porn. Have you heard of that term?
No.
It's basically when non-disabled people see disabled people doing normal things, like going to the shops or going and making a meal or like driving a car, and they think, oh my word, you're so inspiring for, living your life and stuff like that. Yeah, it's ridiculously common still in 2025.
I'm just, yeah, in my head I'm just like, I'm so in awe of how you speak about the people that helped you and guide you to live this independent life, and how you can just, I find it so warm in how you speak about the other people that helped you, and how you
Yeah.
spoke about your parents, and how you choose to do this for yourself, and you're like, no, like, it's going to be difficult. It is. This is the card I'm unfortunately dealt in life, but you're just you choose to get after it. And I think that is the bit that I'm just like, more people need to see that and hear that, because it is possible if you just belittle people and yeah, what's it, porn inspiration porn?
Inspiration porn.
Oh
So
God.
there's a talk on YouTube, a TED
Right.
talk by a disability activist who passed away several years ago. Her name is Stella Young. And I'd encourage anybody listening to this to find that and watch it. I think it's kind of where the term really came around, and it basically has revolutionized how disabled people have a way of describing that non-disabled people are really annoying, and like basically they get good feelings from supporting someone or anything like that. Like I had written it down, but obviously like the idea of when you go to, like, this is the longest Unboxed 11 ever.
Ever. We were planning on the shortest, but I'm here for it. It's all good. It's all good.
There's the whole idea of like doing a good deed every day. And if I go to a supermarket independently on my own with my little trolley, I will have at least 3 or 4 people just approach me as I'm doing like the regular things, checking my little list, putting things in my trolley. Like, would you like any help? Can I help you? No! I don't need your help. If I need your help, I will ask. And I think that that's obviously mine and a lot of disabled people's perspectives, but it can be really frustrating when, I guess, non-disabled people decide what you can or can't do in their head.
I had on season 1, I had Nicole Turner on, and she literally said the exact same thing. She was like, just because I'm a little bit smaller does not mean that you can automatically assume that I need your help. And I think that was, even talking to her, that was the biggest thing that I took away from that, was that,
Yeah.
because I think I was, well, no, I know I was probably guilty in the past of thinking things like that as well. And it's coming from, since I've interacted with other athletes, other people who are different, who don't look like me, who don't move the way I move, who don't talk the way I talk. It has really taught me to appreciate everyone as an individual. And I think that, yeah, it's definitely something that I was guilty of in the past and I had to really reflect on. And I still probably do. It's probably something that I subconsciously think, oh, maybe I need to help that person, when no, if they don't ask for my help, then I should piss off, just get on with it. Like, so if I say or do anything, please correct me, because I think it is important to learn and keep educating each other on how we can help people in all aspects of life, in all community groups, and disabled people are absolutely in that, because
yeah, I think there should be a life course in disability etiquette, what not to do when interacting with a disabled person. But I think what I would say, if I was someone who was maybe a little bit anxious around someone interacting with someone who has a disability, I would say, think in your head, is this a question you would ask a friend? Is this a question you would ask a family member? Or is it that you're just asking this to this person because they have an impairment? The idea that, the question that I tend to get a lot is like, what's wrong with you? Like, and my answer is always, there's nothing wrong with me. Like, the world is inaccessible. That's my problem. Just because I sit down doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. And I think that that would be my key message to the world.
Okay, last one. How do you say unboxed?
This is the one I've probably written a little bit around. Unboxed is actually like the idea of being open and honest and transparent about stuff. It's something that I've not done for a long time. And I'll talk about it a little bit later in this 73-hour podcast that's currently ongoing.
And this is only part 1, folks.
Oh, it's going to be 6 parts then. So I've probably spent at least the last probably 10-15 years of my life kind of portraying that I'm okay and that I'm not struggling and that there's nothing going on with me, and and that I'm just getting on with my life. But thankfully, I've turned 30 this year, and I'm post Paris and all of that. I'm finally, for the first time in my life, I was going to say enduring therapy, but no, I'm having therapy regularly, and I think what keeps me from becoming back in that kind of little square box is the fact that I'm not a pleasant person when I'm depressed. Like, my parents get the brunt of it, obviously, but it's not an experience I want to go back to in the near future. So what keeps me unboxed at the minute is therapy, but I guess the main thing would be just kind of talking. I'm now learning that A, I have to do it, and B, it's important for me to do it. Yay, therapy.
Snaps to therapy. Woo! That's what we're here for. Claire, I think just the vulnerability that you just opened yourself up to there. I think you're putting yourself on a platform to be challenged, criticized, supported, everything. I think that's amazing. I want to say, one, congrats on starting the therapy journey, because it is tough. Like, for those that haven't experienced, or for those that have went through something where they've asked for help and seeked, it's not easy. It really isn't. And you're so used to, especially us folk from Ireland, Northern Ireland, head in the sand, everything's okay, you just have to get on with it. Like, you got to keep fighting the next day, whatever it is. So thank you, Claire, for sharing that. I really do appreciate just pure honesty and just trying to be yourself and challenging yourself. And yeah, I think that leads us into a really nice flow to the next part of the conversation, because what a lot of people will know you from, and those that don't know you, you're lost. What a lot of people will know you, Claire, from is being a Team GB Paralympian for 3 cycles, as we said, in Boccia. So a lot of people are going to know you as Claire this Paralympian, Claire this athlete. She's travelled the world. But if we actually strip it back and just unbox Claire, how would you define yourself?
Until maybe 9 months ago, well, not even 9 months ago, all I thought I was this one thing, with the athlete sport. All of my social media is basically, it's Claire Taggart Boccia. That is my username for a lot of things. And that's kind of what I attributed to me being and who I was. But who I actually am, I'm still figuring out. And I think that's the scary bit, because you're a similar age to me, you're a little younger. But the fear of turning 30, and also being on this train, as in the sport train, it's like, well, if I step off this train, who am I? What am I going to do? Like, what's next? And I think up until probably 6 months ago, all I thought I was the sport, and that's it. I'm still working on finding out what I like, what I don't like, and that's in life generally. But I don't really have an answer for your question yet. Maybe in 6 months' time, I'll have an answer.
No, but I think your answer is what people actually will relate to more, from the point of that everything is changing, everything is evolving, whether you play a sport, whether you're a career, like in your career, whatever, like, there's so much more to people outside of that. And it is okay to step off that journey. It is okay, say, I don't know, to be a lawyer for 10 years and then be like, no, this isn't for me, I'm going to become a baker, or do you know what I mean? And it's scary. It is scary. And that is what a lot of people, I don't know, what I would assume is a lot of people that are scared to change because of the unknown of what comes next.
Yeah, and I guess, like, obviously, you yourself, most people who follow you online or not necessarily know you, will know you as an athlete, hockey, Ireland. Those are kind of the keywords that they would come up round. But now you've given yourself, with Unboxed, you've given yourself this different platform of people who might not know you from hockey. And I think that is the incredible bit. Whereas I did the opposite. If I wasn't doing boccia, I was thinking about boccia. I was watching boccia. Like, everything in my life was kind of siloed into boccia. And obviously that was kind of my choice, particularly throughout 2024. But now I can look back and be like, that wasn't healthy in any way or possible.
When you live, breathe, sleep, dream, do your sport. And trust me, I think I am probably still there, but this thankfully keeps me slightly grounded, because otherwise, like, everyone's like, I should just chill. Like, I can name hockey players around the world based on what shoes they wear and what stick color they have. So, like,
I could probably do the same, but wheelchairs, and that's really strange. But
this are like, these two are absolute, I don't want to say freaks, I don't like that word, but like, just obsessed.
like now, obviously, I say I've turned 30, and like I don't know what I want. Like, do I want to travel? Even though I've traveled the world, do I want to travel? Do I want to get married, have kids? These are things that never really were on my kind of radar, because I was just like personally just siloed into thinking everything in life has to be about boccia. It's exciting, like we say, but it's also fucking terrifying.
Oh, terrifying. Well, once you kind of figure that out on like how you actually decide that, can you just like come back and let a girl know how that kind of works?
Yeah.
I think a few other people might be helpful with that advice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm retiring. Way, there you go. I've said it.
Drop cannonballs.
Yeah.
What else do you have? Party poppers,
Yeah.
snaps.
Obviously, Paris was last September, August, September, and until I would say towards the end of April, I was still undecided what I was going to do. And it was only when obviously I started having therapy and actually thinking, what do I actually want to do? Do I want to do this for another 3 years? Or do I want to see what else is out there and really invest time and my energy into something that I really want to do? And like we've talked about, it is scary. I think transition in all periods of life is scary, but the fact that we are so, like I say, eat, breathe, dream, have nightmares about boccia, the thought of the next day waking up and going like, what am I gonna think about? Like, what am I gonna do for the rest of my days? And I think the best thing that I found out of all of this is actually not planning too far ahead. Obviously planning very far ahead with concerts, because that's the key.
Priorities.
But having a daily plan, so like every morning now I get up and I write 3 things that I'm going to do, and they might be menial things. Like today I was at my parents', like we had dinner, and then I've come down to do this, so you were on my list today. Also hoovering, I think, was on my list. I haven't got around to that yet. But they can be 3 things that I have to do or want to do, one of the two. And I think that that's really given me clear structure post leaving sport.
I feel very privileged. Unboxed listeners, tell your friends. Actually, no, don't tell your friends the news. Tell your friends to go and listen for the big news. Do we know what we're going to unbox in the next chapter of Claire, or is it, as you say, just take it day by day, see what comes?
I think there's 2 things to that. Obviously, like you say, I'm literally in the prime of my sport. I was world number 1 up until Paris for 3 years. I am supposedly pretty good at it, but
sorry. Supposedly pretty good.
Yeah.
I was the number 1, but I'm supposedly pretty good, right? Quote that there, folks.
But do I get up in the morning now and think, I'm excited to go and spend time on a boccia court? No. And probably not, if I'm honest, for the last maybe 18 months to 2 years. It's scary stepping away from all you've ever known. I've done boccia since I was 19. I've never had an adult job. I didn't go to uni. Where do I exist in the world? Yeah, I think that's the bit that I don't think that people will not necessarily understand or get. I'm choosing to step away from my sport, even though I could win a medal, hypothetically, at LA or Brisbane. I'm not enjoying it anymore. I'm finding it really stressful and pressured, and there are other things in my life that I want to prioritize and take time to. And who knows, in 20 years' time, I might regret that I didn't do another cycle, and that I didn't give myself the opportunity of winning a medal at Paralympic Games. But in the right here and right now, the right thing to do is to step away, prioritize my mental health. The other thing is give my parents an actual retirement. So probably I should give some context to that. So my disability, and people within Boccia, we obviously have complex disabilities but tend to travel with a +1 or a PA, and the care funding that we have here in Northern Ireland is horrendous for anyone who has a disability. And I wouldn't have been able to do Boccia if my parents hadn't stepped in and basically said, we will take early retirement in our jobs to let you pursue your dream, ambition, goals. Because if I was relying on care funding from Northern Ireland to be able to do my job effectively, I wouldn't have been able to do it. That is in part why I'm stepping away, but I would say that that's maybe only 10% kind of the point where you should kind of take a step away. And it's funny that I'm saying a step. I'm a wheelchair user. I should roll away silently into the dust.
Claire, I'm sorry, you're ruthless.
I mean, you really have to take the piss with some of the things, and the language of the world is not
fair.
Yeah, because everybody says, oh, what's your next step? It's like, I can't get up a step. What do you want me to do? Yeah.
But even like things like that where it's like you don't think about it until it's like a light is shone on how everything is just against people with a disability. And it just shows that, okay, yes, we see you going, traveling these tournaments, playing all over the world, but we don't see the sacrifices of your parents that have stepped in to do that. And that's not just with you, that's just with people in all disabilities all over, whether they're inside of sport, outside of sport, trying to have a career, whatever. It just shows how much sacrifice is needed by those around you. And if you don't have that, you're already in a vulnerable apparently it's easy for me to say vulnerable position. Yeah, apparently. A vulnerable position. But then that just makes it so much worse. I'm assuming you would feel even more isolated, even more far from people, society, everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it basically, if I didn't have my parental support, I wouldn't have been able to do Boccia at all, to the level that I was. The amount of travel that we talked, like last year, 2024, in 8 months, I did 28 flights and 16 ferries, all over the world, and I would have done anything, all in that 8 months to win a medal. It was mental. And obviously, living in Northern Ireland and everywhere flying from London, basically, we add on an extra 2 flights there and back. But with my dad, obviously, like, my parents, they're not going to like this, but they're 67 now. I think that's right. And my dad has travelled the world with me for the last 5 years. My mum did up until 5 years ago. And the travel was probably the part of the sport that I hated the most. Because a lot of people don't realise when you have a disability, and when you use like a wheelchair or a power chair like me. So my chair goes in the hold with the baggage, and we cross our fingers, and even though I can't do that, and we pray that on the other side your chair is in a fit shape to work, and never mind be able to compete in it. And the inaccessibleness, that's not a word, of flying is the most off-putting thing about our sport for me. Yeah, traveling as a wheelchair user is, well, I think with any sort of disability, is not helpful or ideal, but I just don't think there's the awareness that when I check my chair in, it's going in with your bags, and if there's turbulence and your bags fall over and it knocks something off my chair, you can get off the plane and go about your business. But I'm could be stranded in an airport with zero working wheelchair. And it hasn't happened to me so drastically that my chair hasn't worked, but parts of it have been broken by airplanes and the staff lifting it. I mean, my chair alone weighs about 120 kilos. Yeah. The batteries alone are like 25 kilos. There's 2 of those. And in most airports in the UK and abroad, there's no machine to lift them. So you'll just see these 4 or 5 guys, just like limbering up and walking over to my chair. And I'm sitting on the plane, like not watching as they try and struggle and lift my chair up onto a belt to then go up into the plane. And I think that it's a bit that people don't particularly realise. They just see disabled people getting on a plane and then they don't really kind of associate all of the stuff that comes with that. So yeah, the travel is something that I'm definitely not going to miss. Sorry, I've just gone on a ramble about...
No, I'm here for it, because I think like everything you're sharing is literally prime examples of what us to our naked eye don't see, unless it's like filmed and put on social media. Like, you've seen those clips where people in wheelchairs are having to be carried onto planes because they don't have the right equipment and the right wheelchairs to get them up the aisle. Or you've seen videos and clips of people's wheelchairs getting broke, whose sports chairs have getting broke, who everything. But it's like a small clip here and then it's just brushed to the side. But it's like,
Yeah.
As you've said, we can get up and walk off the plane. Like, you literally could be stranded there.
Yeah. And I think that another thing is obviously like basic right and ability to use the toilet, for example, on a plane. For someone like me who can be picked up and sat, most planes travel with a small aisle chair. I can sit on that. But can I actually get into the toilet to use the toilet? 9 times out of 10, it's a nightmare. And it is possible. But I particularly... less so for, I would say, male athletes, because they have other methods of like going to the toilet. It's easier for them, shall they say. Myself and some other female teammates who like would fly big long flights, Korea, Brazil, South America in general, would like choose to fluid restrict, so basically not drink very often so that you don't need to pee on a flight, for example. And again, that's not really like well reported. And obviously, if you're going to a competition, not the best preparation, for example. But it is how people in my position and my teammates' positions, these are the sacrifices we make to compete. In my case, I made to compete at the highest levels. Yeah.
But that's mad how it's just like, even how you're talking about it, you're saying, yes, we could fit. But it's not about could fit, or it's, 9 times out of 10 there could be a wheelchair or whatever, and you choose to fluid restrict. That's just like basic human.
Yeah.
Being human. Literally. Like, society is literally fully degrading you as a human.
Yeah.
For simple things.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm doing this course at the minute in like accessibility at live music, and I didn't realise until 1995 disabled people basically in the UK had 0 rights. So that was the year I was born, and then obviously the Equality Act came in 2010, which basically means that you must provide a reasonable adjustment in a lot of things to enable disabled people to equal rights to education, employment. And I think that occasionally you'll see stories in the news where people have failed to meet a reasonable requirement and things like that. But up until 30 years ago, disabled people basically had limited to no right in the UK. It's quite shocking when you say it that way. But, I mean, things are a lot better, but they have a way to go. Like,
long way to go. And I think anyone that is listening, help be a voice, help shine a light on the shit. Honestly, it is literally the shit that people in the disabled community have to face, because it is just standard human rights, standard common sense. Like you mentioned earlier about have disabled people in roles or in environments in the decision-making process. So like in the past you did some work as the accessibility or disability officer for Larne Football Club. Go on, Larne. When you're in that role, did you help create change? Did you see that, like, also from like yourself, like as a human, grow in that way?
So I've done that role for 8 years now, and when I was first approached about the role, I was like, I hate football. I have zero interest in football, and my condition was that I would come and I would work for them if it wasn't a tick box exercise, if they were willing to put changes in that I recommended to make the club and how they operate and policies and stuff like that more accessible and inclusive. And I don't think they were kind of expecting me to basically, before I'd even accepted the job, to put in my terms. But yes, they did. They accepted that it wasn't going to be a tick box in their UEFA license, and that I was going to come and basically say, that's terrible, you need to fix that. I'm not happy about this. We're letting people down doing this. And I'd say for most part of my suggestions, they then rectified or sorted. But this is where I kind of found my love of accessibility and advocacy for disabled people. And the thing about working in football, like I say, I hated football, but it gave me experience outside of my own disability. So obviously I know my disability, and probably a lot of wheelchair users' disability inside out, what we need, where we need things like that. But I knew nothing about deaf people or other disabilities or neurodiversity. And football has kind of given me I wouldn't say the door open to like what everybody needs, but it's kind of like teased the door open, and then I've basically gone and got the education that I need to then put things in place for people. And like I say, it really has kind of opened my eyes to, I would say, what isn't in place in general life. And I think that what I'm going to be doing now from this point onwards, obviously changing the industry slightly, but I think that everybody deserves the opportunity to go and have an experience. If they love football, they deserve to be able to go and have football, go and watch football, have a pint with their mate, and not think about, is there an accessible bathroom there? But I think that I'm now in a position of saying, okay, I'm finishing sport and I'm going to something that I'm beyond excited about. So I'm setting up my own business. I'm setting up an accessibility consultancy, basically working directly with live music, festivals and conferences. And I want to make it better that a festival or a live music event or a conference doesn't think, okay, we've provided a wheelchair space, that's us meeting our reasonable adjustments or the Equality Act. That's absolutely not meeting the Equality Act, by the way. But I want disabled people to go to an event, know enough about the event in advance, what's available, what's not available, if they need anything extra to be able to go to the event. And I want them to actually just be able to go and enjoy the experience without stressing about, can they go to the toilet, can they get a drink at the bar, can they go somewhere and like decompress if it gets a bit overwhelming. I want to take that from them and just basically solve all of those things, and then people can just enjoy the experience. And I think that that's what I love personally about live music, is that when you're there in a field or in a venue or in a concert stadium or whatever, a concert like an arena, everybody's there for the common denominator of that artist, regardless if you have a disability or not. And to get there, disabled people will often have to do a lot of research about the venue and what's available, how they get there, transport, parking, all of that.
This is literally like bombshell, bombshell, eye open, bombshell, boom, go. Like, holy Claire, what the fiddly fuck? Like, one, okay, well, we simply just have to say congratulations on your retirement, because
Thanks.
it's an amazing achievement what you have done, and you have put not just Boccia on the map for sure. You've put Northern Ireland on the map. You've put yourself on a map, and you've showcased a whole community on what you guys can do. And I think it's inspiring, Claire. And I don't want to do it from the point of view of what was the word?
Inspiration porn.
It's not inspiration porn, but just as a human being,
Yeah.
being from Larne, fighting to get out of Larne, fighting to get on that world map, fighting to be a fucking incredible athlete. That in itself is class. Okay?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
congrats.
From someone who did zero sport in school.
Zero. Claire did zero sport in school.
I mean, like, obviously, we know each other through sport, but you were a year younger than me at school. I would have rolled my eyes at you probably.
Oh, 100%.
You were one of the sporty kids, whereas you would have found me in the library or with my mates. No interest. And I think that, obviously, we went to the same school, and unless you were good at sport or studying, then you were kind of like, I don't want to say like turned a blind eye, but basically like you weren't a priority and things like that. And that worked for me. Like, to be honest with you, I wasn't pressurized to do sport. I wasn't pressurized to get 16 A stars, for example. And I didn't have a bad time at school, but the people like yourself who would have been sporty and winning 10,000 awards, I would have rolled my eyes at you. Like,
100%.
I don't even think we would ever have had a conversation until maybe we started being in the gym together at some point, because obviously you were always traveling. But I don't, like, obviously having gone to the same school, like, it's not a big place. It was 700-800 kids, and still being a year apart, we probably never had a conversation until today.
Yeah. Like, until like a full in-depth conversation, it's like this. Like, in the gym, I think we would have like definitely passed. And if I was like
commented on my shitty music, probably, and then
there may be a slight rumbling, being like, I'm lifting heavy today. I need something to get me going. And I'm a change person. We're into what we're into. But secondly, I think your business plan and setting up your own company and doing all that, gathering information, advice, what is needed. Again, I can't wait to follow that and see where that goes. So again, if anyone is listening from Northern Ireland, we'll just say anywhere in the world, you know, Claire, I'm putting you worldwide here. But if anyone needs advice, guidance, wants to hire Claire, go and get her, because she'll be, as you can maybe tell by listening to this episode, she's a bit ruthless. She'll tell it as it is. Truth hurts sometimes, but she'll get it done, and she's doing it from the best place possible, and it is advocating for a community that needs to be done. Claire, I can honestly sit and listen to you all day on how you're talking. I think you're just how you speak about yourself, what you've went through, your community. It is amazing. And I've loved having you on the pod, listening to you. I don't know if you've anything else you want to share. What other stories you got? Go on, hit me.
I could tell you about the time and the faith healers in A&E trying to make me stand. But I think that's a story for another day. Yeah.
Nah, no, go. I need it. You have me in now. I think this will be the last one before I actually blow me crock. Faith healers.
Faith healers.
Like Hail Mary, Hallelujah, Jesus will heal you.
Yeah, so I wasn't unwell. It was a member of my family, and I was waiting in the waiting room. This was probably quite early into my life as a disabled person. So we're in A&E, and I'm just in the waiting room, and I'm basically accosted by faith healers. And the irony is that they were in A&E as well. One of them was unwell, and they basically, I was in my manual wheelchair, and they kind of brought me over to them, and I was just like, what is actually happening? And everybody in the waiting room's kind of just like, what's happening here? Basically, they all put their hands on me, and then they were praying and stuff like that. And I was just like, this is funny. And then my mum, and she just walked in from having a smoke, and she just announces to the waiting room, what the fuck's happening here? It's great. And that was just about before they were going to try and pull me up to stand. And it was that was never going to work. I'm just going to fall on my face, and then I'm going to be an A&E myself for a broken face. But yeah, like, I would say it wasn't until about 5 or 6 years ago that I started kind of standing up for myself, not answering intrusive or inappropriate questions, because I felt like I had the confidence to challenge people back if they were going to do something or say something that I wasn't happy with. I was like, I'm gonna say it to you. Another one that really, really pisses me off, and my teammates will agree with this, is that people, if they're standing beside you or anything like that, leaning on my chair. Even strangers leaning on your chair.
No.
Like, would you do that to someone standing beside you? No, you wouldn't. So why are you doing it to me? And I have been known to drive away and someone fall. Or the other trick is to just catch their toes.
I'm here for that. They deserve it.
I mean, you're clapping, you're snapping now, but when my chair drives over your toes, it's fucking sore.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, if you have the disrespect to lean on someone's chair, nah.
Yeah.
Nah. Nah. That's nah.
Like you say, the non-disabled world doesn't see or experience things that we do. And obviously, I'm really privileged in that I have the things that I need, like wheelchair, housing, and I've had the experience I've had through sport, but I recognise that within the disability community that's not always the case. And I think that if I can do one tiny part of that by changing the music industry, then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to enjoy doing it, and yeah, kind of go from there. I think like we talked about at the very start of this, I don't expect everybody in the world to understand why I'm retiring, why I'm choosing to leave a sport that I could compete at and win a Paralympic medal. But what I do expect is that they'll respect my choice, and that I have good reason to leave, and that there are other things in life outside of boccia. I think that's a perfect way to end your podcast.
Boom, mic drop.
Yeah.
Claire, you have been fantastic. I am so grateful that you have shared a small, probably 4% of your unboxing journey with us here today. And I simply cannot wait to see what happened next. Folks, make sure you just go and keep an eye on Claire. She's definitely going to have her own business coming. If you need help with anything advocacy, disability wise, she is your woman. She will state you on the straight and narrow to make sure you're doing what needs to be done. But until the next episode, make sure you follow the podcast on Spotify or wherever you listen. Follow us on the socials, stay up to date with all that's going on behind the scenes, and stay unboxed.